What people don't like, and the only time real sophisticated investors and anyone who's a serious business person ever will be mad at somebody or disappointed with somebody, is if they do something unethical, illegal, or immoral. If you're on the right side of things, no matter how many times you fail, if you're going about it the right way, you will have people that will support you, whether it's your audience, whether it's your investors, whether it's your friends. And eventually, like, if you just pursue it enough times and really just go about it the right way, it's going to work out.
Grab your brain waves tight, let's start the show. DJ, download, dropping heat today. Business tips, stocks, and the tech runway. Breaking news, edges cutting through the fray.
We're live. We could.
Yeah. So did you move into your apartment already?
Yeah.
To the pad?
Yeah. So just a quick update. So we moved in, got the keys today. I'm recording this in the clubhouse over here in like the common area because the Wi-Fi is not set up yet. So they're coming tomorrow to set that up. I got hot wire, bro. I didn't even know that was still a thing.
Get me now.
Yeah, I mean, I was always in this area. I'm in Brickell right now, so I was living up a little bit more north, a little bit more of like a more relaxed area, and now I'm right in the thick of it. So like when you literally think of like Miami, like that area with the colorful like buildings and the mall and everything, that's literally like where I am. We're in the cut.
So now the only things you're missing are a Lamborghini and a Latina girlfriend.
Hey,
and a course. And a nice course.
The course, yeah.
You just got to start recording.
It's the course. I need to get.
It's actually hilarious, Dakota. This is the funniest part because I had a kind of an idea which building he was moving into, but I never really searched it up. And then when I did search it up because I was going to stop by today, I was like, man, you're literally in the thick of it. The epicenter of like the street interviews.
Literally.
Moxie's is there. Sexy Fish is there. So it's in that sense, that's super chill. Like imagine you can go to like a super high-end restaurant, take a chick there, and you could walk home. It's like a block and a half, you don't have to drive.
You guys are going to catch me on, I'm about to start doing those videos, what's your body count? Are you a high-value man? What do you bring to the table? It's about to be me out there 6 hours a day.
I was actually thinking about that, and stuff like that is really the kind of the easiest form of content because you're really just relying on the person to like facilitate everything. Because the people, they ask the same exact questions over and over again, like whether it's where do you live, what do you pay for rent, blah blah blah. So it puts all the weight on the person.
Yeah, that stuff goes super viral, like pretty much always. Like sexual content is just like the easiest form. So I feel like Ben has nothing to no excuses anymore. He's got Andrew Tate down the street in Miami.
I got Ashton Hall down the street too.
The Ashton Hall, Hawk Tua. So we're going to see Ben Tua.
Hey, I don't know about all that, but nah, you're going to see me, bro. I'm linking up with Ashton Hall. I'm linking up. I'm going to stay over at his place or he can come over to my place. We're going to do the routine starting at 2 a.m. this time.
Do you have to bring your own water or how does that
he's
work?
got the water.
No. Ben is the guy who hands him the water. You didn't see the video?
You guys are crazy. I ain't handing nobody water. Me and Ashton, we're gonna do a little push-up competition. But no, we can go right in and just talk about Ashton. That was a crazy moment because I've watched his videos. Like I don't follow him, but I've seen his videos a lot, right? And the comments were always like super funny. Like I can't really say some of them, but they're also like premium. You know what I'm saying? Like this one of the expensive ones. You know what I'm saying? Like all that kind of stuff. It was like super funny.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was just funny. And I didn't think that I never thought that it would blow up to the level that it did. And I think it became the most watched video on X maybe ever. It's probably upwards of like 1 billion views now. And at the end of the day, it's literally just a guy waking up a little early and, dunking his head into ice water and like recording his routine. It's super simple stuff. So, what do you guys think about it? I think it's funny more than anything.
This is the exact point that we were talking about earlier when I was talking about like a lottery ticket, because how often, especially because maybe some people, I did get this take where, to us, because we live in Miami, it's not even that funny to us because we actually know a lot of people that do stuff like that do that exact content, like that literal, because that's the second point I was going to make. He didn't reinvent the wheel. This exact content, the wake up, ice, the this workout, the DIY routine, that's all been done before. But you see, he got so much hate. He would get so much hate on all his videos, but you see that's what I was talking about too, where there's no bad publicity in this era, because it used to be you said the wrong thing or you did the wrong thing, and now there's no such thing as shame anymore. So it really doesn't matter at that point. You could basically just say anything that comes to your mind, and it'll go viral. Like, if it doesn't matter if it's Ashton Hall or if it's the Island Boys. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the Island Boys, but that was probably the most degenerative stuff that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I've literally seen it all. Like, I thought I saw it all, and I was like, this brought an entire new rock bottom for me. But they were getting views, they were getting clicks. So it's like, I would say, like, it's like the circus acts. The circus acts get the views, and with no racial things, but he was a huge circus act. You know what I mean? He was like,
I think he's smarter than we're giving him credit for. Like, I think the internet looks at Ashton Hall and goes like, oh, this guy's an idiot. But his videos are he has 8 or 9 million followers right now. His videos are consistently getting over 1 million views, which is pretty significant. Even at that following, you could say like it's a trade-off to his followers, but he's getting over 1 million views per video. And then he has a course that he's monetizing really well against those views, which is huge. He has a course about like how to be a modern man or something like that. And it's pretty compelling, right? Because you have this guy who clearly is doing well, has figured out the algorithm for better or worse. He's jacked. He's like a good looking guy. I don't know like actually how much money he's making, right? But
I mean, he's making a lot.
He's definitely doing well, and he's getting a lot of attention. And attention these days is the modern form of currency, because you can basically take that attention and he's going to go and launch some supplement brand, or he's going to do a partnership with that water
100%.
company, or he's going to do a million different things. So like, yeah, say what you want about him, but he's definitely gotten his moment.
Yeah, and I'll say this, I'm one of those people that's like, oh, bro, he sucks, he's dumb. He's not dumb. I've listened to his like other videos where he talks about real business stuff. Again, he's not reinventing the wheel. He's saying the most basic things. But at the end of the day, I just think it's goofy. It's just funny to me. And at the same time, none of us know whether he knows it's funny and he's doing this for the publicity.
He has to.
I feel like there's some people that are like,
the goofy stuff is what works.
No, I know.
That's the thing.
I just feel like he like gives me the impression like he's the type of guy that if you tell him, yo, those videos are so funny, he would just look at you like, what's funny about it, bro?
He's like, it's the grind. It's
like he's taking it
like,
super serious. I don't know. He might not be. And again, I don't know him, but maybe I'll walk over across the street and say, what's up, Ashton? What are you thinking, bro? What's really the sauce?
You can ask when you see him tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll ask him when I see him. But it's at the end of the day, the marketing that he's doing is insane and it's working. And there's a million people copying him even before it became funny. Like there was all these other guys doing the same like morning routine ASMR stuff and it works. And now everyone's literally, it's like the ice bucket challenge now. Everyone's doing it and always is going to go back to Ashton Hall. And if he doesn't make off of that like one video, probably I would say like 10, 20 million, I would be super, super surprised if he doesn't make it just from that one video.
Yeah, the earned media, so like that's like how much media attention a certain brand gets from a certain piece of content that they don't pay for. So Saratoga Water, for example, they estimate earned close to $2 million in earned media through that video of him that went viral. I would estimate it a lot higher though, because I had never even heard of Saratoga Water before all of this, right? Like there's Poland Spring and Fiji and Voss, but now Saratoga's, a well-known household brand, which is pretty crazy. And they had said specifically they did not pay him for this piece of content or any of the content that he's made. They are saying that they're discussing a partnership with him now, but that's pretty crazy just to like go from literally a nothing brand, moderately well known, but now is literally household. And like, I would say that's worth billions of dollars, which I know is like a huge number, but to be like a water brand that's known by like a huge percentage of the US population now, like that literally boosts you from like 0 to hero,
I agree
overnight,
entirely.
crazy.
I think with things like water, with things like paper towel, with things like things like that people don't really, you're not reading reviews on these kinds of things. It's all about the name recognition. Like I'm looking at a Zephyr Hills water right now. I never heard about them before I came down to Florida. And apparently like, it's like a big thing here, right?
That water's ass.
Yeah. I mean, I just picked it up at Publix.
It's budget. It's budget.
Hey, listen,
it's like a budget friendly.
Bro,
option.
I got on the essential.
Listen, I'll say this. I drink the reverse osmosis filtered, like two-way filtered water. And obviously I just moved into this new place. So I'm doing bottled water for
money bags,
for a few days, But anyway, it's like everybody knows Poland Spring, right? Everybody knows I would honestly say it's just Poland Spring, and then people who shop at Costco know Kirkland water. Everything else is up for grabs, bro. So the fact that like Spring Valley is like in the conversation, it's insane. I think like you're saying, we can't even understand the dollar amount. It's way more than what they think it is.
The other thing with his content that I really respect him for is the consistency at which he posts the content, because that content to produce is fairly difficult. Like, it's not rocket science, but like, he's got to do it. He does it every single day. He obviously works out super hard and then puts out the content that he gets like laughed at, consistently. Like, every comment on his videos is basically, making fun of him to some degree. And then he also publishes content. So he kind of has like a twofold strategy where he's doing the fitness content, kind of like the wake up with me content, which I don't even know if he actually does that routine, but at least pretends he does that routine. And then he has the business content where he's saying, here's like 5 ways to improve your social media strategy. And if you actually watch those videos, as you said, Ben, those videos are really good. Honestly, I've shared a few of them with friends in the past. So he's not like, he's actually giving out his sauce, which I think is something that more content creators should be doing, because a lot of people will just like be getting followers or just put out like certain pieces of content. Maybe it's working, maybe it's not. But if it is working, that's it. They're not actually giving out like true value. And I think value right now on social media is like what gets shared the most. And a lot of creators are afraid to just give out that value in terms of like what's working, why it's working, because they try to gate it typically behind their course wall.
Yeah. Again, it's really reinforcing what we've been talking about since we started this podcast a couple weeks ago. The landscape, the content, the media landscape has just changed so much. Like, we can even look at what Robinhood did. I mean, for anyone who has a Robinhood account, who follows the stock, who just is a personal finance enthusiast, you probably have heard about the Robinhood like live kind of demo unveiling that they did yesterday. I tuned in for part of it, and then I looked into a little bit after. It's just different, companies like, especially finance companies, especially investment companies, brokerages, that's not something that they were doing. They weren't ever releasing products this way. They weren't ever doing like, everyone tune into your app to like check this all out at the same time. It's just, they've changed the way that kind of stuff is done to make it so like tech forward and just kind of like, obviously, honestly, just for younger people. Sam, Dakota, I know you guys both looked into it. What do you guys think about that? I'll just give my thoughts super quickly. I think Robinhood overall is a good product. I think as they start doing many more things, they're going to need to like really nail down and become like actually top tier in each one. Like, I think their interface is top tier, but I think the reporting and their customer service, I am personally not a fan. And that's why I don't use it as my main brokerage. But as they're adding new products, now they're actually becoming something that I think anyone, whether you have $100, 100,000, 100 million, or even like 100 billion, eventually you could be using. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, so besides obviously all the new products they release, because I feel like they're super innovative, or they're constantly striving and they're constantly trying to be on the cutting edge of everything that's going on in finance, which is great. And like you said before, they are now targeting a younger audience with all these, really cool events. I did tune in for a bit as well. And I feel that is one of the only pullbacks really with Robinhood is the customer service aspect, because I do remember having a few problems and just, you can't really get on the phone with somebody, and have some like have have it resolved right away. I could say with Charles Schwab, or with Schwab, I have like, a person that directly deals with me, so that if they can get that, or maybe even if they could tailor that towards, well, actually that's one of the products, but tailored towards like the higher net worth individuals, which would definitely, if they did tailor to the higher net worth individuals, we're talking about, 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures investing, they would definitely get a good chunk of people from a bunch of different brokerages.
Yeah, I'm a huge Robinhood fan. I think I have about 20,000 shares now in
Nice.
Robinhood. So I'm still up about 35-40% from my initial buy, so it's definitely one of my best performing stocks of all time. I think Vlad has really figured it out. Obviously, they had the really bad PR event with GameStop. No one really ever will know the truth, right, of if they pulled the plug on the GameStop situation, or that was actually freezing event like they claim it was. Putting that all aside, I think Vlad did learn his lesson from that, regardless of what happened. And I think he's corrected on all cylinders. I think the guy's super smart and has surrounded himself with really good people. He just brought the CFO from Meta to be on the board as well, which is huge. So they just have a really good team over there. They're pushing new product launches weekly, which I think have big impact. They're not these just like vanity announcements. Things that I think are upcoming for Robinhood that I'm pretty excited about are the Robinhood Gold Card being rolled out to more people. I've been on the wait list for a long time. I have a good amount of money, like millions of dollars in Hood, and I still have not received the gold card, which I think is odd. And I followed up, as you've said, Sam, with their customer service, and I still can't get
All
a
right,
message
I'm gonna
back
just say, I'm
from
gonna just
them,
do a
which I
little
think is
shout out
strange.
here. If somebody's connected to Vlad, tell him we gotta get Dakota the card. My guy's
And
a heavy hitter up
the
here.
gold card, and just to put in point, because I have the gold card, man, it has so many cool
You have a
features.
gold card?
Yeah, I have the gold card. But yeah.
Why do you have a gold card?
I have like a pretty fat balance on there, and I think it was like a raffle. It was
This kid's got fat balances.
Hey, it's the DJ and
I do
download.
all
What you
right.
guys expecting?
But I remember it was like it was like a first come first serve. As soon as it was released, within like I think it was like a few minutes, there was literally like a million people who wanted to do it, and only a few, I think maybe 10,000, 20,000 people got approved. But the gold card is so sweet. I've been telling Ben about it. I only use my gold card now because
Yeah, kid
it
rubs it in. He knows where the pain is, and he rubs it in.
yeah, no, because I get 3% on everything, and there's like just a whole bunch of different stuff, and there's a lot of like cool features that you've never heard of. Like basically, you spin like a raffle, so you get with 10,000 points, or no, yeah, 10,000 points is equivalent to $10. So you can like play like a wheel game, and you could win 100,000 points, which would be
Bruh.
$100, or 5%
Robinhood the
for the next.
casino. Robinhood's the
Yeah,
casino.
5% for the next 24 hours, or blah blah blah, or
People
this
love that stuff. Gamification
1
is just
million
it's
percent.
insane. And I realized this, so you get the most amount of points, even more than cash back, by just getting the money directly into your Robinhood brokerage. So they just deposit it into your Robinhood brokerage, and you get the most amount of money, and that's cool anyways, because like I said, I'm DCAing every day on Bitcoin. So that's literally like I just keep it there, and then I just buy some a little bit of Bitcoin, $50, $100 worth at a
yeah.
time.
I think a few other things for Hood that I think are really impressive, as we kind of alluded to, Vlad is scheduling these events, well in advance. So they have events, 2 or 3 more events throughout the rest of this year. And those are exciting. Those keep shareholders very interested, keeps people, locked into the fact that they're making progress as a corporate company that you're putting your money in. And I think it's crazy that so many corporations don't basically schedule all of their year of events basically at the beginning of the previous year. You don't need to have all your announcements necessarily lined up, but just say like, okay, February 1st, we're hitting this event. March, we're hitting this event. Late April, we're hitting this event, right? Because it keeps people interested. All these CEOs hide under their desk and they don't do any announcements. And then their share price is dog shit. And they're like, what's going on? What's the problem? It's because you're not literally doing anything to involve the shareholders. And they're like, oh, we don't care about the consumer grade shareholders, but you have to care about the consumer grade shareholders now, because so much of the market is controlled by consumer sentiment at this point.
And retail, man.
Yeah, exactly.
If we were talking about it, I even remember just like talking, or maybe even, what was it, like maybe 10, 15 years ago? People didn't trade on their phones, man. You wanted to get a trade done, you would have to call your stockbroker to him to make the trade, and a lot of people were still like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, a lot of the boomers, a lot of that's how they've done it for however long, and there was a lot less people involved in the market.
Yeah,
I feel like Robinhood was the catalyst that allowed all these people to get in, because there was people who invest $5, invest $20. They didn't know that the majority of the people, it was just in their 401k or super high net worth individuals who had advisors and millions of dollars and such. So it allowed the average retail people to get in. And to your point, Dakota, now it matters. This is the thing. The companies that have not updated to today's relations, they're going to fall off in the next 10, 20 years. I mean, maybe even the next 5, 10 years, because it's a whole new landscape. Everything is online. Everything is about like I said, cutting edge stuff. Vlad is doing it amazing. Like just the ambiance. Like I don't know. I tuned in and I was like, wow, man, this looks like some, like something out of like a fancy like design show or something. Like it
Yeah.
was insane. So I really
And
like.
Vlad is really smart because he's building his personal brand too. Like, I don't know if you guys follow him on X. You pretty much can't not see Robinhood's content or Hood's content on X now. But he posts like all of these things about, the event, and a lot of people reshare it. And some of the big dogs, reshare it as well. Like his investors, like Jason Calacanis and those guys, have like a pretty big following on X. So he's able to spread this message super far. Whereas a lot of these CEOs, like you literally have to Google, like,
Who they
who's the
are.
CEO of XYZ
Bro,
company? Who's
one
the
crazy
CEO?
example. CEO of United Healthcare, fifth or sixth biggest company in the US. Nobody knew who this guy was. He was walking down the street, no security, because nobody knows who he is. Like, yeah, he's, the CEO of a 600, $700 billion company, $800 billion company, but he's not out there like that. Maybe on CNBC somewhere. So yeah, you're 100% on the money, you and Sam. And as you guys were talking, it just kind of hit me. Honestly, like so crazy. So think about this, like Robinhood and Vlad have like the ultimate comeback story. Like think about it this way. Retail is what's bringing them up right now. What happened in 2021 or 2020? I forget which one, but they were essentially mocked by retail because of what they did or allegedly did with selling the order flow and halting the trading and everything. And it's actually, this is why I'll say this, the reason I never bought in really heavily, and I bought Robinhood at like $10 a share, but I didn't buy heavily, is because in the back of my mind, I knew like retail sentiment was still not on their side. And I have to give props, like you said, to Vlad, because what he was able to do is get all the people who literally hated him. People lost so much money because of the order flow stuff, the trading being halted. People like literally lost all their money, some people. And now retail is back on their side, and it's almost like they're like, hey, we were on your side this whole time. And
Yeah.
and that's
It's almost like we know we messed up and like we got you this time now.
exactly. It's so funny because I feel like genuinely I have like a really good memory of like I don't forget things like that. If someone did something dirty, like I will remember. And I'm not gonna always hold a grudge, but it's like it's something that doesn't leave my mind. I think a lot of people maybe and that's kind of why I've always been a little bit hesitant with Robinhood, whether it's putting a bunch of money in there or buying the stock or using it as my main brokerage. But I think a lot of people, especially new blood, first of all, they're not gonna remember. Second of all, it probably didn't even affect them. Third of all, they don't even know what it was now since it was like 5 years ago. And Robinhood is now able to pivot and position themselves as like, hey, we're the retail champion. We're making it easy for retail to deposit money, to spend money, to invest in crypto, to have your old wealth manager now, like to be your own bank, to have like this like neo like bank. And it's actually almost insane how well this rebrand is going. And one thing I've realized from being an early Palantir investor, my average share price is probably like $15, but about as low as like $8.99 or $9. Is how important retail is, because with Palantir you have guys like Amit. With Robinhood, you have guys like Amit and other people who just keep talking about the stock, and they have a really big following of retail investors.
It's Carp too from
Yeah,
Palantir.
exactly. And it's like you have these themes, right? So one is a technology first company. Another one is a charismatic and like social media first or media first in general CEO. Three is a retail army led by like thought leaders, whether it's like Jeremy, like Holy Smokas, or Amit Investing, and a bunch of other these guys like this. Like those three factors, I'm not even joking, can literally take any stock and like propel them. Obviously if your company is garbage, right, it's not gonna, but you look at GameStop and it doesn't even matter. So I think those three factors.
Well, I don't know if did you see what happened to GameStop today?
They got rocked today, down 24%.
Yeah, they got rocked today.
Yeah, I have some calls.
It was a very much, but this is the thing. This is the economy that we're in, such a sell the news economy where every time there's even good news now, by the time it gets to like, to everybody, it's like people already selling up. It had that initial pump, the people got in and then they got right out.
I will say, let me jump in real quick, just a 5 second. Yeah, I am holding GameStop calls expiring tomorrow and next Friday. Luckily, I sold like 80% of my calls because these are now worth zero. So anyone trading options, always remember to take profits, because literally a 22% drop in one day, seemingly for almost no reason.
Such a crazy rug pull though, because like they make this announcement about literally just buying some Bitcoin, and raising money. It's like optimistic. Obviously, is it a business plan change? No, but is it an opportunity to potentially, make use of this cryptocurrency surge, which probably will come for Bitcoin at some point? If Trump kind of continues on his treasury path, it seems to have been cemented, and seems like in all likelihood, Bitcoin will be the de facto member of that treasury. Whether Solana, XRP, or Cardano will be included, I think is TBD, but almost for sure will they buy at least some Bitcoin? I think so, right? And for GameStop to get so bashed in the face over that, it's interesting because I think obviously at some point if Bitcoin does go up and they do make that purchase, we will see GameStop price go up. But GameStop has not been able to fundamentally make great use of the changing landscape of video games, right? Because we're seeing more video games being played online, live streamed. People are buying games, in different mechanisms than they did in store. Netflix did obviously a really good job of transitioning their in-store or shipping business to, a streaming model. GameStop has just not done the same thing, which is odd because they have a pretty big coffin of money. They have $6 billion or something in cash, and you think that they'd be able to deploy or at least have started maybe their own game studio or buy some smaller game studio to kind of go direct to consumer with what they do. But it just doesn't seem to be a priority for leadership at that company. And I think until they do something like that, the stock price is never going to correct in a meaningful way. It's always going to be this speculation vehicle for retail
I
investors.
will say, obviously GameStop got rocked. GameStop is way, way, way off its all-time highs, but I'm looking at the numbers right now. It's currently a $22 stock with the fair value, in my estimation, of somewhere between $8 and maybe $12. So it's still, it's trading at a crazy premium because of the fact that they have, I'll take that back. I'll take that back because they're a cash pile. Never mind. I think it's still a little bit overvalued because their core business, I would say, is actually worth very, very close to nothing, but they do have a lot of cash, and now they have some Bitcoin and they have some other assets. So
it's still a good retail business. If you want to say all said and done, is it a good retail business? Do people still go there to buy, the newest games? And is it an experience and they have, different tchotchkes and toys? Yeah, but what?
I mean, I don't know. Cause I really don't. I mean, I passed a few GameStops recently. I was at the mall and it's pretty much dead. I mean, maybe with this resurge, I don't know. I know that another really big thing right now, I see everyone going crazy over Pokemon right now. There's Pokemon packs and everyone's searching for. I don't know if that's a huge resurgence. I could see something like that because I know they do have the figurines, they had the Funko Pop stuff like that. Everything is kind of you don't really need to buy games anymore. That's the main thing. Nobody really buys game. You download the game. That's the main thing. And then another big thing is a lot of people switched from console to PC. So they should have maybe even shifted towards that. They could have, because there was a huge PC. I mean, when with the pre-built and everybody wanted the new NVIDIA, the new RTX chips, the new blah, blah, blah. They could have even shifted that way where, we sell pre-builts, we sell this, we sell that. But like you said, they're not shifting. And the last couple of years, it looks like all that's been happening was every time that there has been a pump, the CEO just sells. I don't know if you guys have been following, but that's been what's happening. Every time there was a pump, they're oh yeah, they're finally going to take the money and do something really useful with it, and let's get this ball rolling. And the CEO's man, that's a nice friggin' super yacht I'm eyeing, man, off the coast of Italy. But I'll be real, it really does seem like they're thinking a little short-sighted.
And a lot of that money is retail money too. So it's kind of funny because you have retail people blowing the stock price up, and then obviously GameStop is
Ben, issuing. People. Sorry to cut you off. I know people who only stock they own, and they told their parents buy it. People still holding from the 2021, because this is another thing. People who are not investors, people who just got into this, oh man, just one day it's going to come back. It's one day it's going to come back. A lot of people who are thinking about the memes, oh, one day it's going to go back. Well, guess what? 90% of the time, it might not go back. They don't understand what cutting their losses is and investing in different companies. They just know that they're holding on to it. And I know the same thing with AMC. There's people still holding AMC.
I'm holding AMC.
Hoping
but
I
I'm
think
up
I
on
think
it.
there's a world where it does come back, right? It's just like what can you make the most money with right now? And I don't think it's GameStop. I don't think the markets are good right now, so it's not a good representation of like when we start to get back into a, bull market. Right now we're in a super bearish market, but at the same time, like I agree with you. Like GameStop is not, in my opinion, like a fundamentally innovative company. And I think if you're investing in non innovative companies, you have to look something that has like a lot of intrinsic value or has intellectual property that allows them to create a moat around their offering that other people can't just come in and do the exact same thing, right? Because like Walmart sells video games, Target sells video games. You can buy video games on Amazon, which is much more convenient than going to a GameStop store. And then GameStop has just not been able to literally do anything that's put them at an advantage over competitors, right? Even with new leadership coming in. So I'm not super bullish, but I do think I agree with you. Like the Pokemon craze, all of that stuff is super interesting. Like Pokemon cards are an all-time high right now. People are paying millions of dollars for Charizard cards and those things. But GameStop could have easily come to the table and been like, okay, we're this point of retail for Pokemon cards. We're going to like create a business grading cards, or we're going to create like a marketplace for people to, buy and sell these used cards online. Like we have all these loyal customers. Like, what should we do with it? And the answer is like literally crickets. It's just so crazy to me that it's
Man,
like,
and they have it already set up because you said what sets them apart. Think about it. What sets them apart from all these other people that sell video games? The only thing that sets them apart was that they were buying video games. That's the only thing. Like besides going to a pawn shop or selling them online on eBay, the only place where you can physically go in and get cash, even though they did rip people off horribly, like horrifically, still you could bring something in and you can get paid out. Like you said, that would be a genius idea. They had the marketplace. They could imagine if they were buying, selling cards, they're making money on the back end. They're making money on the, because if they're obviously not going to do it for free, but they're making a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. There's so
definitely
many
adds up.
avenues that they could have taken. And it's
Just
like,
grading the cards alone, like PSA is a big like card
yeah,
grading entity
yeah.
and like multi-$100 million company, if not
We don't
more
have to
at this
stop at
point.
Pokemon. How big is the card
Yeah.
market? The card market is
Cards,
insane. Yeah.
shoes. Like there's a lot of products that this consumer buys, that also buys video games. And this could be a point of trade, grading, purchase, and sale for like that consumer's grade of products. They just have not been able to pivot. And I think it's the example goes back to like what we talked about with like Poppy and Pepsi last week. Like you have these giant ships, which is GameStop, that is like are not able to pivot, from their core business model. Like Netflix, who obviously made a substantial pivot and continues to pivot, to really capitalize on, this digital economy that we now find ourselves in. And speaking of digital economy, I don't know if you guys saw like the Chat GPT stuff that rolled out this week with
Wow. Yeah.
4.0 and image generation. And I made some pretty sick Studio Ghibli. Actually, Ben was the first one to do the Studio Ghibli of us, which we'll throw up on the Instagram. But it's just crazy because every time someone tells you like something's rolling out for ChatGPT, I'm always like, oh, it's going to be bad or it's going to be stupid or it's not really going to work, And I think that's been my experience with a lot of AI platforms. Like even for e-commerce, I will go into ChatGPT and I'll be like, make packaging for this dog product I'm thinking of launching. And it makes it, but like the text is all messed up and you can't really use it. It's good like directionally, maybe for some like color scheme stuff. And then Sam comes out and he's like, yo, like we unlocked images, it's going to work. And you go and do it. It's like, it literally went from like something that was maybe 60% functional to something that's like 99% functional, which is a huge lift, in just like a matter of months. So super impressed with what the team's doing. I've been using it a lot for econ. I don't know if you guys have been using it at all for anything.
Honestly, just for the podcast stuff and honestly just a lot of personal things. I just thought it was super funny and cool, and I was like making them of myself and of other people and like sharing it, and I just thought it was like a lot of fun. But I'll say this, I mean, it's insane. First of all, I'll say I didn't have the premium because I pay for X. I use Grok Premium, and then also use Perplexity, and then sometimes ChatGPT. But I was like, honestly, with this, I just have to pay for the ChatGPT like premium monthly one, and just to get access to this, because like the animations are insane, and you can
Oh, insane.
animate like a real photo, and the detail is really really good. It's not perfect, of course, but it's really really good, and I mean, theoretically, you could create cartoons, you could create movies. These are things that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in like animation fees, and you have to pay a designer, you have to pay an artist, all these kinds of things. And I'm not saying that these jobs will be going away.
Millions, Ben, millions.
Yeah,
It,
yeah, depending
the
on the length and all that stuff. But it's actually insane that a literal these AI programs, these chatbots now with their integrations are able to like generate like movies and super super detailed stuff. I mean, the world of opportunities is endless for this. I think there was a good I forgot who posted this on X, but it might have been I forget his name, but it might have been the founder of Replit, which is kind of like a tool to make apps without coding. And he was like, the new it's not like the number one thing to do now isn't to learn to code. It's to learn how to like think and create good prompts and like really just like find use cases for these tools, because that's literally what coding was. It's like you're finding use cases for things and you're able to like actually program it. And now you can program things by just using the English language or whatever language you're using. So it's a totally different
I
world.
think that's really profound, though, what you just said. Like the new economy is going to be learning how to think, learning how to speak to AI. And so many people are afraid of AI, but it's so simple that you just have to start using it and trying to make different things with it and learning how to speak with it. And there's obviously this gate that some people are trying to create now with the prompts. If you go on LinkedIn, it'll be like, I made these 20 ads with day when GPT is able to actually come back and say, here's how I would prompt myself, or it just gets good enough, because sometimes it still doesn't put out the things that I need it to put out. But I've been seeing it. A lot of people in my industry have been using ChatGPT to make content with models, which is really interesting because to do like a photo shoot with a model historically would cost a lot of money. Like really, really high end models, you have to book through an agency, like the most attractive girls that you'd want to model like a cosmetic or a bathing suit or something like that. Now you literally just like drag a file that your supplier can send to you in China, and it'll spit out something that looks like a beautiful girl, wearing your bathing suit, and the next step, they'll move slightly, I've seen in GPT, but I think it's just a matter of months until we have full-fledged video content coming out. And then I think the next stage is full movies, and you'll be able to say basically, okay, make Scarface 2, and it's just going to make Scarface 2, and you're going to be able to literally watch a movie that's like made tailored, to potentially your viewing habits,
Yeah.
And what type of content you're
Yeah,
interested in.
there's this belief. I don't remember who this is, but there's this belief that language, like, it's kind of funny. This is gonna sound like Luke Belmar or something, but why is it called spelling? Because you're casting a spell when you when you say words. I mean, he might have said that. Like, he didn't get it. He got it from someone else because I've heard that a while ago. But there is something to that, right? When you are putting words and putting ideas and putting essentially vibrational patterns out into the ocean, into the atmosphere, things are created, right? So actions are created. So when you're typing in words into these programs and they're generating real results, images, videos, illustrations, calculations, whatever, it's almost as if human beings are really materializing that like old belief of like, when you say something or when you put something out there, it like actually materializes. Like the world is a painting and our, words and or the paintbrush, and it really has never been possible, right? Because when you wanted to build something, you have to use your hands, you have to use your back, you have to use your legs to like actually build stuff. And even when you're coding, you have to like, I mean, it's manual. It's like, again, I'm saying it's just a different, it's a different type of skill, right? It's more work intensive to be coding in Python or C++ or whatever than it is to literally write, make me a short video with X, Y, and Z. And I think we're really moving towards the point, I think, now that we're seeing this with AI, and this is just the very, very beginning, where, again, this is what Gary Vee is super bullish on, but eventually our voice is just going to be able to translate to everything. People aren't necessarily even going to be typing things too often. We're just going to be able to say it. And the AI that's going to be around us, I don't know if you guys know something called Limitless AI. I signed up for it like over a year ago, and they just shipped it to me a few days ago. So I just got it. It's like a pendant that you wear, and it's like an AI assistant. I actually haven't even used it yet, but I just see as, for better or for worse, that's going to be the future. You're just going to have these like AI assistants, AI whatever, and they're going to be like doing tasks for you. And this is just level one, which is the crazy part, because we're all like, wow, this is amazing, but this is really just level one. And I don't think we're even prepared for like level 2, 3, or anything above that. So it's a little scary, but it's also very exciting. And I think the people who are going to succeed are really the people who are not going to be afraid and who are curious and want to capitalize on this moment.
Well, this is the main thing that I want to reach. Well, it could be scary, but all new technology, first off, is scary, and second off, this is just a transitional period in human beings. Before, when people had to spend 90% of their day just, let's really wind it back. When we were in hunters and gatherers, and all of everyone's combined force was dedicated to two things, either hunting or gathering, it limited what you could think of. And then the same thing happened when people stopped being farmers, and people, they started being able to do other things, started being able to think about other things, because they're not preoccupied by just staying alive. So I think that with AI, it's the same exact thing. There's going to be a bunch of daily necessities that we've done now, growing up now, our parents have done, but our children will be like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? Like typing? Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm going to say blah, 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 and everything's going to be, and they're going to it's going to fix it for me." And it's going to be the same way trying to explain to someone about long division when I have a calculator. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
That's a
totally
fact.
agree with you guys. Like, I think you guys probably did like mushrooms before this episode, because like
Yeah, it's brought
I
to you
gotta
by
bring it, I
Joe
gotta bring
Rogan's
it,
Mushrooms.
I gotta bring it back to the earth. But I think a few things that are interesting. I totally agree with what you guys are saying. Like, obviously, this will create a lot of changes. Like, our parents look at us even playing video games, and it was like mind blown. But I was thinking too, because my cousin doesn't really like what he does for a job, and he's like, "How do I make more money?" And I see AI as an unbelievable opportunity for making money for a lot of people. There's this, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm not keeping up. I'm not keeping up," right? Like, that's kind of what our generation is saying, right? There's always the next thing, the new product, new opportunity. You also have to keep in mind that there's people that are much older than us and have no clue how to utilize these tools, and never will latch on to these tools in order to, improve their output or optimize their ads or do anything, right? And that's what I was thinking, because there's a lot of money in ad management. Like, an agency business is my primary form of business. We manage ads, multi-million-dollar ad budgets per month for clients. And I'm even thinking, like, at a certain point, I don't even have to have an ad manager. But the reality is, you do still need ad managers, because most brands want a person to interact with. They want like an account manager. But you can essentially become your own agency now, where you have AI basically ingest spreadsheets of ad performance, and then you basically optimize the ads via AI. So you basically are changing the keywords, the bids on those keywords, and essentially running the ads. You don't need to
Yeah.
hire someone else to essentially have $100,000 salary that's running the ads for you. And then with the new 4.0, you can actually create ad creatives for the brands. So that's a service that you can charge brands for. And a lot of brands are willing to pay hundreds of dollars per ad set or per UGC, user generated content creative, that you can now make in literally 2 minutes. And brands don't have to know that you're making this. They're just worried about the performance of their ad creatives. So anyone that's like, oh, I don't know how to get started and I don't have capital to get started, an idea that I had was just going literally on Upwork and creating, examples of ads that you've made with ChatGPT 4.0, and basically creating like either a quasi.
Yeah. So this is super actionable, super insightful. And as you're saying that, I mean, you're totally right. So my big belief, and this has really been my belief since 2020, 2021, we're transitioning kind of as a society, especially like in the US and really in kind of first world areas, where I feel like the most important skills really, because so many things are going to be able to be automated, so many things are going to be able to be outsourced. Before it was automation, it was just outsourcing, right? You could just outsource to somebody in a different country for $3, $4, $7, $8 an hour, right? And now with AI, you don't have to pay $3 an hour. You get a $20 a month subscription. Maybe you pay a little bit more for usage fees. But the really important skills, and this is kind of why I shifted my life so significantly over the last few years, is going to be on things like decision making. Are you able to make the most high quality decisions possible? Whether it comes to capital allocation, that's really a big one. Capital allocation is huge. Where are you putting your money? Time allocation. Where am I putting my time? But capital is actually something, you put money in, you get money out. You can see that. Number 2 is going to be sales. Are you a person that can sell, right? Number 3 is going to be having your own like personal brand / marketing, right? It's like, are you somebody that has a presence? Are you somebody that people think of? Are you a brand? Are people going to think of you when they look to whether if you have a creative agency? Are they going to look at you, or are they going to look at the other 1,000 people who have creative agencies? And then number 4 is, I would say, just being able to speak. I think that is probably the most underrated skill. So many times you go to conferences, you go to wherever, and you see people who, let's be honest, I mean, some of them have great stories, but a lot of them have stories just like us, just like everyone. And the only reason they're on the stage, and this really hit me when I was at Aspire, the only reason they're up on the stage and they're talking to thousands of people is because, number 1, they made that decision, hey, I want to go do this. And number 2, they have the speaking skills. So they're comfortable to go up in front of thousands, millions, whatever amount of people, tell a story, be persuasive. And that's where like sales comes in. That's where branding comes in, all that stuff. And now, instead of being a consumer of content, they're a producer of content. And now they have unlimited leads. So I think those four items, I mean,
and being a producer of content has become a lot easier now too. And I think that's something that I was always hesitant to kind of start like making blog articles, because it does take a lot of time to like write a blog, and come up with certain ideas. Whereas now you can literally talk to ChatGPT and be like, I was in high school, I got terrible grades, I cracked down, and then I, got really good grades, and this is how I did it. And you kind of explain that, and then it like writes it up into a super persuasive blog. You publish that, and it's really compelling. Whereas before, writing something really compelling or that people would find interesting was just super difficult. Now, as I said before with LinkedIn, you can literally be like, make influencer ads for this brand. You come up with an idea, right? And then people will literally be like, if I was in charge of, Colgate, then I would make ads that looked like this because all their ads suck. Like at Colgate, like, what do you think of this? And those posts will just blow up on LinkedIn because people love that. And it gets like a ton of engagement. You can literally be doing that like 3 times a day now. Whereas before, like if you weren't a graphic designer, like you literally couldn't do any of that type of content. And then you grow like the following, which gets you this limelight. But I still think the biggest financial opportunity, Ben, as you said, is like 1, growing the audience, but 2, realizing that there's going to be a gap between the people that understand AI and the people that don't understand AI. And you don't need to be like inventing time travel. Like literally go to like ChatGPT, type in like make ads for this brand. If you see that brand is running bad ads, and just send them an email and be like, hey, I made you like 10 ads that look awesome. Like I'd be willing to do this for you, on a monthly basis for like $200 or $300, right? And I'll just send them to you every month. You tell me what you want. The ChatGPT membership's only costing you like, what is it? Like
$20 a month.
It's negligible, $20 a month, so you're literally making $280 profit per month with that one client.
Yeah. And
right. It's crazy.
It's what's funny? This, I don't know if you guys feel this way. I feel this way sometimes. And I feel like anyone who's listening to this probably, unless they're like on the very, very forefront of all this stuff, they're probably feeling this to some extent. My issue right now with all this AI stuff is, man, like there's just so many opportunities. Like that's my biggest issue. It's like, what do I focus on? You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people, like if you're like, oh man, I don't know what to do. I think you're not plugged in. Like once you get plugged in, you start to realize, wow, like there's a million different directions I can go in. And then that's a different issue. Now you have to like start picking some things. But if you are like ever like, man, I don't know what to do, literally go and like type into ChatGPT, what are some business ideas for somebody in my situation, age, income range, where you live, what do you like to do? And it's going to give you a list.
Totally.
It's going to give you a list.
There's no excuses.
You're going to be like overwhelmed
almost.
Maybe tell them limit it to 5 or something, because you're going to be overwhelmed. It's going to be like a list of like 10, 20 things. We're in the abundance. We're at like the abundance
and then
flywheel
taking
right
action. That's another thing. The taking action part sometimes is more important than even everything else, because like I've been telling Ben, there's a lot of people, you could say they're dumb, stupid, whatever. They don't really know what they're doing, but they're doing it. That's the main thing, because they do it. You could say, like we're talking about Ashton Hall, like, or people talk about, oh, he's this, well, guess what? You're sitting at home. He's got 8 million followers. Who's really winning at this situation? So That's the whole point. You have to pick an idea and you have to just go straight balls to the wall with it, because that's the main thing where everybody just waits and waits and waits for everything to line up and be perfect. And it's like the same example. It's like where you see like, oh, why do wealthy people have less kids? Well, because they're thinking about it. They're like, well, I need to pay for this and and then the college and then are we making enough and do we have enough saved? And then there's people who make like they're living poverty line and they're popping out a kid every day and they're like, listen, it'll work out. We'll figure something out. So
Well, I think a good example is like people see what I'm doing now with e-commerce and they're like, show me how to do it, show me how to do it. And I'm like, exactly as you said, Sam, you just have to get started with something. And my first online e-commerce business was actually drop shipping dog jackets from Alibaba to consumers. So I made this whole Shopify website and then I had like dog jackets and they had like a zipper pocket so you could like put stuff in the jacket. I didn't make this product, but it took a lot of time to like set up the site, make the ads. I had to learn how to run the Facebook ads. So I was watching YouTube videos about how to run the Facebook ads and the Google ads and all that. And I literally got like 3 sales and 2 of them got refunded. So I literally got 1 sale. So like it ended up costing me probably like $300, $400, like net negative.
bro,
But like I learned how to run Facebook ads. I learned how to run Google ads. I learned how to like set up a Shopify account. And those were things that are literally like worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to other people that I can charge to like, I know how to run Facebook ads. I know how to run your Shopify. I know how to run your Google because like I did it unsuccessfully, but then like for like a non-dog shit product, not a dog jacket, right? Like I approach a real brand that has like a good enough product. Now they're willing to pay me $2,000 or $3,000 to like basically manage their business. And then I start managing that business. I start to learn about like inventory. I start to learn about marketing, these other products and things. And that's what kind of levels you up to be able to eventually do the thing that like checks the box and works.
It's so amazing you said that, because I just want to like really highlight this, right? So you Dakota, you're doing very well in the e-commerce space. You have an agency, you have your own brands, you partner with brands. And your beginning, we actually have the same beginnings in e-commerce, because I also had, I think back in 2017 or 2018, one of those years, maybe, 2017 or something, I started a drop shipping a business for Bluetooth headphones, Bluetooth earbuds, like Fuego Sounds, and I had
Sounds, was that the name of it?
yeah, I had the same experience,
Oh,
like very similar. I think, started off good, sales went in, chargeback, a refund, and it's like, hey, I'm drop shipping. Like, I don't know, like I can't, like I can't accept this product. Like it's just like a huge loss at that point. And with the ads and with this and with that, I mean, the whole thing, I probably walked away. I would say I would be very lucky if I broke even. I'm probably down a few $100 like you too. And it's like it's actually so crazy because, for me, I didn't really do much e-commerce after that. For me, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to pivot to something else, which is fine, whatever. But I think the overall factor was like not giving up, with anything. But a lot of people will totally give up on everything, right? I, regret maybe giving up on e-commerce, and now it's like maybe we want to get back to it. But like you look at yourself, and it's like, okay, this first time didn't work. Now I started getting a few clients paying me a little bit of money. Now they're paying me a medium amount of money. Now they're paying me like premium, because now you have that experience plus the experience on Amazon. And it's just like, I always say this, if you are at least sort of baseline intelligent, maybe a little bit less than baseline and above, if you just work hard enough and you don't give up, and you live in like a stable society, there's like a 99.999% chance that you're going to be successful in whatever you're like pursuing. The only people who are unsuccessful are the people who get derailed or quit. And so if you go off the deep end and you start abusing drugs and alcohol and gambling, yeah, it's gonna be super tough for you to be successful. If you just quit life and start smoking and playing video games all day, it's gonna be really tough for you to be successful. But short of that,
that's all wasted time.
But
Like
100%.
I still believe that because I look back at myself too, and I was like, I like video games a lot, but I just have trouble balancing things.
Me too.
Like I go all in on something and it's just like I kind of have to focus, but I'm like, if I could have gone all in on something, it should have been business and trying to start the business. And because if I was doing as much effort on video games as I was trying to like hustle and make money, selling things, flipping things, like even before I was doing the dog jackets, I was selling shit on Craigslist, flipping stuff on Craigslist, buying it at yard sales. That's one of the easiest ways to make money is to find free junk or stuff that people throw in the garbage and sell it, for $30, $40, but it's just like, and I did not do, and I think we can all say the same thing. Like, Sam, did you go to UMass too? I don't remember.
No. I went to.
So just like none of us were like the best students, I would say, like coming into college, like there could have been maybe more situation, but that does not impact your ability to be like hustling and smart, because I don't think anything is as rewarding as making money, for me at least, at the end of the day, because it shows like you put in effort and work, and then it has like output, and then you realize you're able to like level up on the optimization of how you make money.
Yeah.
So it scales from just being like a very transactional, like, oh, I put in effort and I only made $20, I only made $50. Because then when you start to do e-commerce or selling like software, or you start to build their online presence, Sam, like you can start to charge for brand deals and things like that, and you're able to trade not just your time for money, but your experience for money, which takes you from earning, maybe $50,000 a year to like $200,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, and that's like super rewarding, because like you've proved yourself
Yeah.
at that point.
You know what's funny? It's super funny because a few years ago I was pretty heavy in selling stuff on eBay. Just like we just had so much stuff, right? Like personal stuff and other stuff. And I was like, you know what? Instead of throwing this away, like obviously we donated a bunch of stuff, but I was like, let me think stuff. 'Cause the last time I did it was that drop shipping store years and years ago, and it like didn't work out. And this was actually like great. Like even just selling, this Xbox or these video, like it was so rewarding, and it also like kind of taught me a lesson. It was like, wow, like this, this online selling stuff is pretty cool. And it, I wasn't making a lot of money. This wasn't even for money. This was literally, honestly, it became like just like a hobby. Like selling this thing for like $8, this thing for $25. Like it was just like a lot of fun it was almost, I had to stop because I was getting like more enjoyment from like making like a $15 or $20 sale than I was from like actually doing work where it's a lot more money.
I mean, it is work,
Yeah.
though.
Well, I was saying like it was getting to the point where it's like, okay, this is $20 that I'm making, but I have to walk to the post office and this, and it just became not worth it.
It's not like the margin wasn't there to like make it worthwhile.
It became not worth it because it's like, okay, I could just focus on other stuff and per hour and per effort make a lot more money. But it was just fun. And I think like anybody, if you have never sold something, there's someone who said like, if you didn't sell like Pokemon cards as a kid or something, you're never going to be an entrepreneur. And I think there's something to that, though. I don't really believe it's like, oh, if you didn't do this by the time you're like 13 or 16, I think it's like, if you've never sold anything before, yeah, it's going to be really tough for you to like have your own business because you have to be selling all the time. So I think if anyone like has never even done that before, literally just look around your house, put some stuff on eBay, put some stuff on Marketplace, and start like literally just having conversations with people, like, and negotiating, and like it just gives you this like cool feeling of like, wow, I was able to like sell some stuff, and selling.
And you
is
have
not
to learn
hard.
to like take good images.
Yeah.
And like set up your ads, and like there's a lot of learning in there for that when it comes that maybe one day you want to start your own brand or something like that. It's not that fundamentally different. It's just at a different scale. And it's better to start at that small level where you're flipping stuff on Facebook and talking to customers and learning how to be persuasive, so that when you maybe come out with your own supplement or pet product or baby product or like whatever it might be, that you basically made a lot of those mistakes with like flipping the stuff on Facebook. And then it's like a lot easier. And the brand scales a lot more because obviously with just flipping stuff on Facebook, you probably have access to like maybe tens of thousands of people in your area, whereas with e-commerce, like you truly can have like a global entity, right? Where you're shipping like global, or just in the United States where you have access to at least hundreds of millions of potential customers,
Yeah.
So, but you have to know these things before you do that. So I agree with you. That's a great way to get started.
It's literally just baby steps. Like this was always an issue for me personally. Like I always had the biggest plans. I like right now I want to run like a multi, $100 billion like wealth management business and actually like do it well and better than I think what a lot of the companies are doing. That's a lofty goal, who's going to give me $100 billion, but starting with 1 million, 100,000, a million, 5 million, 10 million. And then once you have 10 million, oh, now you can get 25. Now you can get 50. And it's like, the analysis paralysis and just like the being overwhelmed, I think is really not something people talk about.
Give you that money to start that fund?
Hey, who?
Sam from his Robinhood account.
Nah, Sam. Hey, Sam, let's talk offline. Let's talk offline.
Yo, I'll give you I do hard money loans though, 25%.
Hey.
That's
the family. That's the family rate too.
You have to accept the gold card though.
The family rate, it's double what the regular rate is.
But listen, but that's a good point that we should close off on that. there is no such thing as failing in the business, because if we're looking at it like as a two-part story, you and Dakota, you guys started the same thing, both went to UMass, both did everything. It just literally, there was a fork in the road. You could either give up and stop. It's like the same thing on our journey currently. You can get, we started off even, pretty well. Like when we originally started this DGen download, I was 100% prepared to get 0 views, 5 views, 10 views, like, and that's super demoralizing in the beginning, where I just like when I started SJB Tactical, it was tough, man, like putting in effort, thinking about like creating videos, and then it just getting absolutely no recognition. But then, like in life, everything compounds. It's slow, and then just one right thing has to happen, and that's when everything starts doing good. Once you get lucky here, hard work brings a lot of luck around.
Yeah.
That's just how I
Yeah,
wanted
and
to,
I'll say
finish up on
this,
that point.
like I agree with Sam 100%. There is no failing in entrepreneurship in business unless you like if you are a ethical person, if you're an honest person, if you're hardworking and you're not looking to screw anybody, cheat anybody, and just be like a bad person. And unfortunately, especially down here in Miami, there's a lot of people who are not very ethical and are doing things that are very shady. But that, in my opinion, the only like you can never. I invest in company. I invest in startups. I invest in a bunch of stuff. If somebody is giving it their all and the company doesn't work out, who cares? That's life. That's business. You invest in them again. What people don't like, and the only time real sophisticated investors and anyone who's a serious business person ever will be mad at somebody or disappointed with somebody, is if they do something unethical, illegal, or immoral. If you're on the right side of things, no matter how many times you fail, if you're going about it the right way, you will have people that will support you, whether it's your audience, whether it's your investors, whether it's your friends. And eventually, like if you just pursue it enough times and really just go about it the right way, it's going to work out. And I think, like Sam said, it's demoralizing when you post stuff and you get no likes, you get no views, no anything. And at the end of the day, who cares? We're doing this because if no one listened to this would still be a fun conversation for us to have. And if a lot of people listen to it, whether it's if we can help one person, 10 people, 100 or 100,000, at the end of the day, I'm happy with that. And if no one listens to it and we just help ourselves, like I'm learning just from being here, then I'm happy with that too. So there is really no failure as long as you're going about things the right way, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to just quickly cover off on just so it's kind of relevant in the news right now, and I think it is something that people might be interested in, is the Trump leaks with the war plans. So it's not Ben's leaks that are on OnlyFans. We're talking the
Hey, don't
leaks
look those
that
up. Don't look those up.
we're talking about the leaks from the Houthi bombing. And I think this is interesting just because on the others, yeah, go ahead.
No, my camera
Yeah.
died. Yeah, you can go. Go.
Yeah, so just quickly kind of speaking to this issue and what has happened.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be good. So I follow geopolitics super closely. I have for many, many years. So I'll just give like a really quick synopsis on like who the Houthis are, what even is going on, because I feel like most people probably don't even know what that is. So the Houthis are a rebel group in Yemen. There was a very, very long civil war in Yemen. People probably heard about it if you follow anything like that. If not, Yemen was going through a really, really bloody civil war. So on one side were the Houthi rebels, Houthi, and they're kind of a group started around this kind of like one tribal family, and they became like super sophisticated, super well equipped, and they are finance backed and have like full support of Iran. They're both a Shia, a Muslim group, and they were fighting against the Sunni side of Yemen, which is the kind of more established government, who was backed by the United Arab Emirates and by Saudi Arabia. So there's a really, really messy civil war. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people died, either from bombings, bullets, or starvation. And that ended. And the Houthi rebels have kind of kept control of certain areas of Yemen and really, really have a lot of power because, again, it's a failed state, right? The government, it's not like the US. So the Houthi rebels, since October 7th of the prior year, they have kind of been firing rockets into cargo ships. They say any ship that's affiliated with Israel, but also it's like not really the case. Like if, there's like a product on it that some is when is connected, they'll fire rockets at that ship. So they've essentially closed down a very, very important waterway. And the U.S. has airstrike carriers in that region, and they've had them for over a year now, year and a half. Under the previous administration, we kind of just didn't really do anything. We let the Houthis like shoot rockets and they killed some people and they messed up some vessels and insurance costs went crazy. So that's kind of the situation in that area. And recently, under the Trump administration, they decided, hey, we're going to bomb these people. And frankly, that's the US's responsibility. We are, whether we like it or not, the police of the seas. That's what the US does. And if a rebel group is preventing literal like commercial cargo ships from doing business that are, affecting dozens of countries, like the US has to do something or somebody has to do something. And unfortunately or fortunately, it's the US. So that was what happened. And so Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, added a journalist. People say it was accidentally. I actually think it might have been on purpose. And, we don't have to go into that, to a Signal chat where they were discussing like the bombing plans. And, it was just kind of insane. Like that's something that's really never happened before. It was almost like you send a text message to the wrong person, you add the wrong person to a group chat, and it's like this extremely high level national security discussions. I think it's more funny than anything because I actually don't think it was fully accidental. I think it was kind of like a 3D chess, but I don't know. What do you guys
I
think?
don't think it was on purpose, but I don't know how you make that mistake, like at that level. It's one thing if me and you were having a chat about what we're going to do this weekend, you accidentally add some kid that you don't want actually to come to the party. But this is literally the VP of America, JD Vance, in a group chat with, these people that should have been there, plus this guy that really, really, really should not have been there, And The Atlantic is a liberal publication, right? It's not in line with their narrative. So it wasn't like, oh, let's add this guy that, is going to support in, broadcast what we did in like a positive light. It's a guy that they really knew that was going to blow them up. If they were to, anyone would say like, oh, should we add this guy? I'd be like, no, like, what are you talking about? Right. There's no like positive spin on it. And then I think what's really alarming is that, Hegseth and all of them were just like denying that this even happened in the first place. And then the reporter, Jeff Goldberg, releases, the screenshots, and it's kind of like these leaks that happen with these like celebrities when they like sleep with each other and one of them denies it, right? But there's like clear evidence. And then you'd expect that Trump, who's been a very strong leader for better or worse, has been a decisive leader, regardless if you agree with what his decisions have been or not, basically takes the stance that like, I'm with my guys and this wasn't a problem. And I don't see a problem here. I just don't see a world where like this isn't acknowledged as like an extreme negligence as a problem, that these people are going to be reprimanded for mistakes that they made, at like the very least, like a strong reprimanding. It's like nothing happened. Whereas if Biden had done this stuff, even with Biden being incompetent, fairly incompetent at the end, whether he had dementia or whatever, right? Trump jumps all over him, right? And Biden really did not make a major military misstep. Like you could argue that he maybe could have done like certain things differently.
Yeah, we would
like,
disagree on
whatever,
that, but
like,
yeah.
Wait, what about Afghanistan? I mean, Afghanistan was horrible. I mean, the way that they left Afghanistan, they left billions and
it was
billions.
bad. Totally bad. I agree. But like, was it illegal? Was it like a total like misuse of like resources and intelligence, and like was like a person endangered? Like it was his right to handle that situation. Did he handle it poorly? Like probably.
Yeah.
But this is just crazy. There's no
Yeah, we're
this is the thing.
Go ahead, Sam.
Let me just say this. This is the thing. I completely understand that, but the thing is, I think it's smarter this way. So even if they did mess up, I rather him chew out Hegseth on the side, not in front of cameras, not this, because Trump is really smart. This is the thing Trump does. Every time he's in something, it's hot water. I don't care if it's the friggin' coin that he launched or someone did something really bad. He did that? Oh, I don't know. I don't know about any of that. I don't like he gives the.
You're telling me for the first time. I didn't know that.
Yeah, literally, he gives the most gangsters. Oh yeah,
that's like some mafia shit though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But that's how a real man's supposed to eat. Listen, even if I mess up, think about it. If like one of your friends messes up big time, are you going to be the asshole that calls him out in front of? Even though you have every right. Even if maybe you should. But sometimes it's better to handle it inside, especially when all these liberals are just dying. Like I'm telling you, from my political commentary show, it is, you don't understand. They all run the exact same stories just over and over and over. Every time there's anything slightly bad with Trump, they just pick at it and pick at it. Did the Republicans pick at Biden? 100%. But to the whole Biden thing, we don't even know if he was the man doing anything. He could have been just, sitting in a room, with an intravenous in his arm, eating ice cream. we don't, we don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But that was, if that legitimately was just some error, I think that is extremely alarming.
100%.
And it should have never happened, and it should be embarrassing. It's an usually usually I'll support almost anything just because how bad the opposition is. Like, you can't give them an inch, because you give these people an inch, they'll take your head. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, with any agenda on the left, they start somewhere where you can maybe possibly even agree, not agree, but you can let it slide. If you let it slide, the next time they have a new agenda, it is so much more left leaning, and then it continuously goes and goes and goes until they push the agenda where it started off.
I mean,
with
a perfect example.
it started off with gay marriage. Okay, I can understand. You love who you love. You want to get married. Shit, you want to be miserable like the rest of us? No problem. Go ahead. But what happened after that? Then it went into the trans, and then that was not good enough anymore. And then they went into the this and this, and then there's people who they have a new title. They have people who are MAPS, minor attracted people. So
Yeah, it's literally so.
Where does it stop?
Yeah,
Where
I
does it
mean,
stop?
I'll say this. I'll say this. I agree with the premise. I'm very like kind of I treat everyone the same in the sense that like and this is why if it really was kind of like a misstep and now they're lying and deflecting, I think there should be like serious repercussions and reprimands. But at the same time,
there's like federal trials that are going on right
yeah.
now for this whole
Yeah.
matter.
So listen,
it's pretty
at the end
serious.
of the day, I think it's sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? Things should always be brought to the open. But like Sam said, I mean, after 2020, I cannot, because you can't give an inch. Just unfortunately, because like,
Well, Trump's philosophy, which I don't disagree with, and I've actually thought about like implementing for myself, but it's like not ethical, is admit nothing. And if you admit
you
nothing, you
gain
never
nothing.
admit defeat. You gain nothing by ever admitting that you're wrong. There's no situation where, like, if you
unfortunately,
get
yeah, that's how
arrested,
it is in our
if you
society.
get caught in a bad situation, like always pivot, deflect, and try to redeem, but never admit, that it was your fault. Because the only thing that happens when you admit that your fault has occurred is that the other side, your competitor, uses that and basically
just won.
crushes you.
Exactly.
They just won.
Exactly. And this is the problem, because you even look at Bill Clinton in the 90s with, the Monica Lewinsky thing. I mean, let's be honest, guys, that alone should disqualify you from any like civil society thing. It's just like, think about like a grown ass married man who's the president, like having an affair with a 19, 20-year-old intern. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, if the CEO of any regular company did that, he'd be fired. So let's just be, he never admitted to it. I mean, 25 years later, 30 years later, he's still not admitting to it. And there really is something to that. Like, this is why I feel like I would love to get into politics, but I just don't know if I'm built to be like such a dishonest, like lying, like look in your eyes and be like, I didn't do anything wrong person, because
You
you
have to
have
be,
to be.
bro.
But that's the thing. That's why I'm not going to attack Trump for not doing it, because if he were to come out and say, yeah, Pete Hegseth made a mistake, there would literally be articles saying, okay, you admitted it, he has to be removed as SecDef, and you probably have to be impeached too. So it's really, really tough, because you're not playing in a fair fight. Like, I always go back to the 2 weeks to stop the spread. I was okay with 2 weeks to stop the spread, and it turned into 50 weeks to, you have to change your life, and your grandma's going to die in the hospital alone. So you can't, like Sam said, you cannot give an inch anymore to certain people.
I think it's just funny though, how like, they're like, oh, that wasn't classified information because like, we decided that it wasn't classified, like,
Play these tricks.
like,
They play these tricks. And listen, I agree. And that's why I've just stayed away from the political realm.
There's no world though if this happened with the Democrats and the Democrats
well, they would
had
never
theoretically
admit
won
it.
the election. I don't know, bro. Like, I just like,
Way.
like, I'm not saying like they admit it or not, right? But I just don't see a world where like the other side, the
They would
Republicans,
hammer
would have
them.
let up on the
They
issue.
would hammer them, but this is the problem with politics. There are no, and this is the issue. People say double standard, double standard. I don't believe in double standards. There is no double standard. There's a rule for me and there's a rule for you, and we're not even on the same playing field. So that's literally how these people view things. Like look at Gavin Newsom, shuts down all the businesses, all the vineyards, all the wineries. His stay open. Nancy Pelosi, she has to go get her hair done. Like, this to me much proof that like they don't believe that they're doing a double standard. They just genuinely believe that we're on different levels, and their level is okay.
Take I heard from that, like speaking to that point, is we've elected Trump as our leader. His cabinet now represents our well-being. Like, are we better as a country to just like stand behind them, like whatever the hell happens, right? Like, because we've essentially chosen them to like be in charge and like put our direction forward, and like regardless of like what happened in the short term with like the tariffs and all this stuff, like we almost have to believe that like his efforts now are going to like pay off in the long run.
Here's what I'll say to that. Think two things. Number one, I think when you have a leader who you genuinely believe, like I will be honest, I think the previous administration did not have the interest of the American person in mind. I just don't believe they did. Their actions don't display that. So when I see them doing things, I can't just blanket support it because I genuinely don't believe that they have the best interest of the country and of the people here. When I look at the Trump administration, not every single person, but I really believe that the majority of the people in the administration actually have the interest of this country. Now, could they make mistakes? 100%. Could the tariffs be something that blows up in our face and makes it worse? 100%. But when people, I think intentionality actually really matters. And when you see people actually trying to do things for the better, I think you want to give them a little bit more leeway, but you don't ever want to be like, yes, this is my supreme leader. Whatever he says goes, take your pants down. It's not, I think when you do that, you become kind of like a NPC. And I am, I don't agree with a lot of like the tariffs. I don't agree with a lot of the, I think some things should be more lenient. I think some things we should be way more strict on. But I would give the benefit of the doubt always to people who I think are coming at things with the best intentions. And if they come at it with, in my opinion, the worst intentions, I will not be giving them the benefit of the doubt ever, because it's just too risky and too dangerous to do that.
Totally agree with you. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 3 years. I'm generally still optimistic. I think Trump with the 25% tariff on cars was pretty big this week, and that just happened yesterday. That I wonder if that is like the favor to Elon that we were all wondering if it would, when and where it would happen, right? Because Tesla is now not struggling. It's still a strong company, but compared to BYD and these Chinese cars, it's just a matter of time. And I keep seeing videos on Instagram where it's like BYD spotted, and you look at these cars on, Instagram, YouTube, and you do the reviews. The interiors are nicer.
Crazy.
The technology is better. They have crazy suspensions. They have individual hydraulics in each wheel. They can go over wheels and like jump over terrain. They have AI essentially already built into them, and they're much cheaper, right? So it's like, if you can buy one or the other, most people don't care like, oh, I need to buy a Tesla. Like the Prius is like the most popular car, obviously, because it's like the cheapest, it's most bang for the buck, it's super fuel efficient. So like, which of these electric cars are people going to buy? The Tesla, where people fucking hate Elon now, and they're like, Elon is like this evil puppet of Trump or like whatever. All these liberals are now like fleeing Tesla. I still don't think you're going to get like a lot of red voters to buy electric vehicles, right? I still think it's early, and it's like not always the most like practical situation. Any of these electric cars that get double the charge are way better in terms of every like perceivable thing that someone could want. And then now it's like, how do we keep them out so that Elon doesn't have to face this competition from these other companies?
I'll say this. Is it a favor to Elon? I would say indirectly, yes. I will say there is something, man, this is really where, this is a really tough question. And I think most of what economists do is a waste of time, garbage. But I think there's actually some like really interesting things to think about. Like you look at China, right? The only reason they're able to make cars this cheap is because there is severe like government subsidization, right? In various ways, right? You can't make electric vehicles that are better than Teslas and in all this way, you can't make them that cheap without some kind of, extreme electrical subsidies or coal subsidies. Like there's a lot of things like that, slave labor, whatever. So is the right thing for a country to do, right? Like the US, is the right thing to do to open up free trade? I honestly, after COVID, again, I just don't think it is, because we become almost beholden, right? Once you get something that's really cheap and fast and good, but it's not sustainable, then it really can decimate our industry, improve their industry. And then again, like that's kind of why we don't have monopolies, because then they can increase the price and change a bunch of stuff. So I think indirectly, yes, it is like a favor to Elon. Do I think it was like a direct quid pro quo? Probably not. And also, I looked a little bit more into it. There's a lot of like, I think Honda, like, how do I get the number wrong? But somewhere between like 70 and 90% of all Hondas they're sold in the US or made in the US. So There's, yeah, I think it's Honda's, not Hyundai's, but there's a lot of stuff like that. And again, this is a real economic question that I think is actually worth discussing. How much free trade is the right amount of free trade? And what do you do with reciprocal tariffs? Like, should you always have them? Should you sometimes have them? Should you have them on some countries and not others? These are really interesting questions. I don't pretend I have all the answers to, but I think those are actually like good policy discussions to have. And unfortunately, as much as I like Trump's tweets, or they're really funny, he talks to he's talking to a sixth grade level audience, and he's not going to go into the details. He's going to say like, they're doing bad things to us, we're going to do bad things to them. And obviously they're probably having deeper discussions in the background. But I think what we see from the administration is very surface level, and we have to just take it, and we can have our own conversations like this. And ideally, we'll get plugged into some people in the admin, and we can really ask them, hey, like, what's actually going on? And, then that's the only way to really find out. But
Well, I personally think that the tariff thing is stupid. I don't think that it's actually going to like lead to the net benefit that we need. I think it's going to cause brands to just raise their prices. Just for example, like, do I think it's a good idea to like tax companies that are not based in the US? Yes, because like they're essentially taking money outside of the US economy and like supporting their own economies and making money off the US consumers. Like, yes, are they paying taxes? Yes, but are they then spending that money in the US, like with the majority of their workforce? No.
yeah,
So the problem though is like me as a seller on Amazon, I go and sell, I import my product, I have to pay duties as a US citizen, which I think makes no sense. And then I then have to pay taxes on the sales of my product. And at the end of the year, I have to pay income tax. So I'm getting like quadruple
yeah,
taxed now for like all these various situations. Whereas like, I think it'd be so easy for Trump to be like, okay, if you're a non-US entity, like if you're not a citizen of the United States that like operates a business, then you have to pay, a 20% tax essentially as a foreign entity doing business within the United States on any operation. So that would be companies like Mercedes, Porsche, but any of these Chinese sellers on Amazon, like 80% of sellers now on Amazon are based in China, but they don't face like the same majority of taxes that we pay, and a lot of them don't pay any type of taxes. Who's going to go after them? The IRS? Like good luck. Like go find them in Guangzhou. Like they're not paying these
it's a big
fees.
city. It's
And
a
then the
big city.
Chinese government subsidizes a lot of these companies. That's the other thing. Like a lot of other economies subsidize their own corporations to try to like artificially essentially
Yep.
boost up their economy. That changes things when you're like a Chinese company. You can make something essentially at a loss. Then the Chinese government will pay you like 15 or 20% of your sales. So you're basically making the profit that the government pays you, 10,
100%.
15%.
That's exactly what we were talking about just now. It's like, you have to have a policy that makes sense. And this is what I'll be very transparent about. There are no easy answers. There's no blanket policy that will work for everyone. There have to be things that are carved out. But I will say, what I can agree on is the quadruple taxation that people are paying. You pay sales tax on income that was already taxed. You pay real estate tax on money that was already taxed. Like, there's like a million things like that I think are very easy to solve. And then you go to the harder questions about like how to deal with international trade. But guys, I'll say this: we're coming up on the hour and a half mark. We've been going at it. We've covered a wide array of topics here. This episode got a little spicy in some moments. I think there was a lot of value here. I'm super excited to start clipping this one with you guys. Any last words, or if not, we can just wrap it up. Sam, you haven't spoken in a bit. Let me know if you want to send us home.
No, listen, I've been listening. I've been you guys are definitely bringing up a lot of really good points with the tariffs. It's just hard. I feel like we have to really look at it. It's just, no one knows. It's just the uncertainty levels are so insane that I feel like it's a coin flip. We could look back at this conversation in 6 months and Dakota could be like, wow, you look guys, I was 100% right. It all friggin' flopped. Or it could be the complete opposite.
If my crypto goes up, I'll stop complaining.
Yeah, listen.
Like, just let me have at least one W right now. I'm only taking L's. I need some W's on the board, Trump.
Hey.
Start giving me some W's. I'll like change my whole opinion on the tariff stuff. I'll let you, leak all the documents you want. We'll leak harder than Ben's OnlyFans. Like we just need some W's on the board.
We need some W's. And I'll say this: I said it. That's how I signed off last time. W's and L's. It's part of life. It's part of business. It's part of the market. So make sure you're not over-indexed, you're not over-invested, and you're not in a position where if something happens, you don't get paid a week, you don't get paid a month, shipments get delayed, your investments, get hit. You're not on the street. So be solvent. stay solvent, stay liquid, stay attentive, and always be learning. And if you do those things and you stay generally positive,
What about stay golden, pony boy?
it is a little throwback to middle school. On that, we will wrap it up. Great talk, boys.
Take it easy,
Everyone
guys.
who's tuning
Take
in,
it easy.
appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week. Adios.
Have a good one.
Adios.
Tech dreams collide with the news in tow. With the news in tow. Grab your brainwaves tight, let's start the show.